The #1 cable news show for 8 years and counting. The O'Reilly Factor.
Thanks, Sam. With us, I'm Bill O'Reilly in the Culture Warrior segment tonight. You may remember we reported on Amsterdam, Holland last December. The reason we did that is that some American secular progressives want to turn the USA into a permissive culture like Western Europe. That's what's driving the drug legalization deal, gay and plural marriage, light sentences for convicted criminals. The picture we painted of Amsterdam was of a permissive city, but of course, the left doesn't see it that way. In the Netherlands, perhaps the most liberal European country, the government is now shutting down pot shops and legalized brothels. Apparently, organized crime is controlling both over there.
It hasn't worked in Holland. They had really wonderfully naive ideas about teaching their children to have safe sex and smoke grass.
All right, so now what they don't tell you in that propaganda video, which is very cute, is that the mayor of Amsterdam just initiated a sweeping crackdown on rampant organized crime. A city official saying, quote, get that quote up there because the teleprompter just went down on me. Get the quote up there. Okay, there we go. We want to fight organized crime. I think that the new reality will be more in line with our image as a tolerant and crazy place. This is the assistant mayor, rather than a free zone for criminals. We can still have drugs and sex, but in a way that shows the city is in control, unquote. All right, so the Culture Warriors have been checking all this out here now. Gretchen Carlson and Margaret Hoover. Now, the reason we're even bothering with Amsterdam, Holland, and you've both been there, so have I, is because many far-left, secular progressive people would love to have that kind of a culture here in the USA, and indeed San Francisco is approaching that. And you say what, Hoover?
I say, first of all, on the point of that, me saying about it being naive, what was naive is that they didn't anticipate that all the international organized crime would come
there, right. But you didn't see that in that propaganda video,
No, they conveniently cut that out.
Yeah.
But I want to be very clear. The Netherlands has less of a drug problem for their citizens than they do a crime problem, and it's crime related to their permissiveness and their lack of enforcement around drugs.
Maybe and maybe not. The way they do the stats is very different than they do it here. What do you say, Carlson?
I say that I don't know if you can blame all of their crime problems on the fact that they have legalized prostitution and legalized drugs. I know that you're going to be shocked at my opinion on this, but I did go and look at the travel guides for other European cities,
yes,
and they're similar to what the travel guides say about Amsterdam.
Well, Frommer says
is the #1 thing.
Frommer says if it isn't nailed down, somebody's going to try to steal it in Amsterdam. But here's the problem. Because Amsterdam is so liberal, with drugs particularly, and then you go into the canal zone where the ladies are in the windows, and they say they do that for health reasons, and they can tax and all of that. The same stuff that they say out in Nevada and other places in the United States. But let me choose my word carefully here, every questionable person in Europe heads to Amsterdam because it's all there,
right,
in a 2-square-mile deal, and their friends are there. It's a Disney World for those people.
Right. You said organized crime controls vice the world over.
That's what the mayor said.
That is also, I mean, the mayor of Rotterdam had to close down earlier this year. No, the mayor of Rotterdam earlier this year had to close down half of the city's coffee shops, especially those that were within 200 yards rather, of schools.
Of schools,
Why?
Right.
Because ordinary citizens were getting caught in the crossfire of the thugs who have come to their country.
So you're agreeing with me.
I'm agreeing with you, not so much that they have a drug problem, but that they have a crime problem that is related to drug enforcement.
Well, then why have so many more people in the USA where marijuana is illegal tried it? 40% of people in the USA compared to 22.6%
The way they
in the
do
Netherlands.
The statistics in the Netherlands is different. Plus, it's a much smaller country. There's a much smaller base to do the stats on. Okay, I don't even care what happens in the Netherlands. What I'm saying to everybody is, this is coming here to the United States. It's coming. This is what they want, the secular progressives. Now, this is a terrible story in Oklahoma. It seems that 2 women have been arrested. Throw their mugshots up there, please. For running a ring of teenage boys. There they are. They get the teenage boys, they give them drugs and alcohol, and then the teenage boys, I guess, have sex with other people. Here's what the prosecutor said about it. Roll the tape.
To me, it's the same thing as prostitution. It was a big sex ring going on there, and these kids knew that, hey, we can go have sex, we can get drugs, we can drink and smoke there without our parents even knowing.
And there you go. So, you know, we have to report these almost every night now.
Right. And you would think in small-town Oklahoma where this happened that it would still be immune to these kind of big city problems, or at least what we think are. These boys are victims. They were having sex allegedly with those two women who were drugging them up and letting them drink to their heart's content, and their parents didn't know about this. And when the police looked into this, they thought it was one woman and one young boy. It turns out at least 10 boys.
10, yeah.
In a small town, that's almost the entire community.
And it's insane because, you know, in a small town.
And they're tarnished for life with something like this.
The 14-year-old boy and his father went to the police station to turn this in. What do you say?
There are going to be a lot of people out there that say, look, a 14-year-old boy has the physical ability to have sex. This can't be considered the same as abuse. And I would absolutely categorically disagree. There's probably going to be a double standard held against these ladies than any man who is a male predator. And the truth is, Gretchen's absolutely right. These guys are victims. They are drugged up. They were manipulated. Just because it wasn't forced doesn't mean that it was by choice.
Okay, but here's the deal. Why is this happening in so much? Look, we've always had a problem in this country with abusing children. Always. But now we're getting a whole different profile. These are women, okay, exploiting boys. That was very unusual. Now it's becoming more and more common.
Well, maybe we didn't hear about it because we didn't give credit.
I'm going back to the internet. I'm going back to the internet. I'm telling you, the internet has opened these crazy doors, and the nutty people now feel that they can act on all this stuff, whereas it used to be they hid in the basement.
Well, we don't know that they met on the internet.
No, but the internet makes it easier to do this kind of outrageous stuff in the middle of Oklahoma.
I'm going to go back to parenting. I think that maybe the internet makes it harder to be a good parent too. But I think, you know, the parents of these kids got to be active in their lives. The dad that took his son to the police station did exactly the right thing.
But the parents can't prevent this kind of activity. They can't follow their kids around all the time.
But you know what may stop it, Bill, or at least lead to trying to stop it, is if they actually penalize these women like they would men. Because my fear, as Margaret has stated, is that they may get off less than a man would.
They're out on bail.
Exactly.
Let me tell you, if they were men, they would not be out. They would be locked up because they'd be out there predating.
You're looking at 3-4 years for each of them on conviction. They'll probably plea it down. But I'm telling you, what happens is, and you can see it tied in with Amsterdam, if you see all of this stuff constantly, it mainstreams. It becomes mainstream. It's not shocking anymore. And it used to be that this stuff was hidden, but now it's on the internet. It's on the internet.
But this isn't normal anymore. I mean, the police officer in this town said this is the weirdest, most bizarre case he's worked on in 18 years of service.
I'm reporting on stuff almost every night.
Yeah, but as
we have to talk about
it. Bill, as a parent, would you still not think that this was bizarre? For a teenager to be involved in something like this?
Would I think it was bizarre? I'm thinking that there are so many predators now.
Right.
There are 10 times as many predators than when I was a kid.
But most parents would still want to protect their children from this.
Of course they would, but how can they? You can't follow your kid around 20. If the 14 or 15-year-old boy, they're going out. But I'm telling you, the predator count is going through the roof. Ladies, as always, thanks very much. Reality check on